Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tennis Channel Inside In on the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. It's Mitch Michals here, as always, hosting the show. We're just on a roll here talking to players, and I think we're trying to hit everybody who won something at Wimbledon 2012. We had Jeannie Bouchard last week. Now it's her doubles partner from the junior event that year. It was the former number one junior player in the world, reached number 61 in the rankings, still just 25 years old. Tennis Channel studio analyst and now a new mother. It's Taylor Townsend on the show.
What's up, everybody?
Taylor, thanks for fitting this into your busy schedule. Like you guys are just jumping into TV like right out of the get-go.
Yeah, I'll take this over the hurry up and wait any day because at least we know what time we're going to be doing stuff instead of like 50-hour rain delays.
You guys had some really brutal luck with the rain and like right from the get-go just having to sit around. Then you feel our pain, right, when there's a 3-set match. Like you see the second set and we're not supposed to root, but we're rooting because you want to have the show go on.
Yes, I was like, I have such an appreciation now for like everything that goes on behind the scenes because I've had Tennis Channel on for the last, I don't know how many months, but you don't understand what all goes into it. So now like I'm here and I have to wait for 2.5 hours for a match to finish or 4 hours. Like, yeah. So I appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, that means a lot. You're buttering us up. I'll try to just stay impartial going forward. But I did bring up Jeannie because she was last week's show and she talked about that last week that you guys were partners in that Wimbledon doubles tournament. And that was at the height of, I think, both of your powers as junior top players.
Yeah.
What was that like, playing with her and then ultimately getting to the top, going to the Wimbledon ball that year?
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
It was so much fun because like we had been playing juniors like off and on together, but it was cool because I didn't really know Jeannie that well until we started playing doubles, and then we just kind of developed such a great friendship, and it was really fun. I mean, we won Roehampton, then we went and won Wimbledon. I was really bummed because I won 3 out of the 4 junior slams and we were playing together at junior Roland Garros and I rolled my ankle in the semis. I was so mad because I was like, I could have had the all 4 because for sure we were just playing so well and we had kind of gelled and everything. And the Wimbledon ball was unreal. Like it was so much fun. So it kind of set us up for a friendship later down the road and we started playing doubles together. Pros. So we made the finals. I can't remember what year it was, but we made the finals of the City Open together as well. So we're a great team.
How does that, I was going to ask you that later, but we can go over it now. How does that work, like picking doubles partners like that? Like, how did you just run into someone like, hey, you're good, I'm good, let's play together?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much you just ask. Like, it's no set partners or anything like that. I mean, you have people who are a team where say, okay, we're going to play these tournaments together and try to give ourselves a chance to have an extended period of time because doubles is hit or miss. Like you can have a great week, so it all just depends on your partner. So yeah, I mean, nothing's set in stone.
Were you starstruck at all at that Wimbledon ball? Like I know Roger obviously won that year, so that's probably the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I have a picture with him, so I was like, yes. But I definitely was because like Serena won that year, Roger won that year, and it was just something that you hear about, but to actually be there, I was just like, oh my gosh, it was really cool.
So I buried the lead here. I love talking to a fellow Midwesterner as well.
Oh, nice.
Chicago. You coming up, and I believe it's 6 years old is when you started playing tennis.
Yes.
Is that right? Was that love at first sight? Did you know it was like, I'm pretty good at this right away, or did it take some time to develop?
Well, I started at 4. So I started playing at 4. My sister was playing before me. So I have an older sister who's 2 years older, excuse me. And she was playing and I would always go to her lessons, but I wasn't hitting.
Yeah.
And it would drive me crazy because I was like, I want to do everything that she's doing. So if
I younger sibling syndrome.
Yeah. So if I wasn't able to hit, like I would go out on the court and like act like I was picking up balls. I would pick them up and like throw them at her or like throw them at my coach. And then my coach would pick balls up and throw them back at me. He's like, go away. So I was always around the game. My mom played. So just seeing people around me play, I was just like kind of gravitated towards the sport. But it kind of was love at first sight. I didn't really think about it. I was just like, I like hitting things. I get to hit it as hard as I can. And I'm going to try to hit it over the fence. So like that was my goal at first.
A lot of kids relate to that.
Yeah. Like I didn't really care about the rules. I'm like, why? Like this is dumb. So let me just try to hit it over the fence. And then I was like slowly brought it in. Then I slowly brought it in.
Well, I guess it's good that they didn't sign you up for like boxing or like a martial art or something.
I wish.
But was there a point when you realized like I'm like significantly better than most, if not all, kids my age?
Not really. Like when I was younger, I was always the youngest of my group. So like I was always like not necessarily the smallest, but like I was like the little runt kind of thing. So I was always playing with people that were way better than me and that were bigger than me and stronger than me. So I think it kept me humble because I never was like, oh, I'm this much better than you, because I was always trying to prove myself amongst my peer group of who I was training with. But really until I started like playing tournaments and kind of getting outside of like hitting with 15-year-old guys and I'm 8, like, and then I started playing against girls my age, then I saw, oh, okay, like I can compete and I can do well. And then I separated myself like when we moved down to Atlanta, and like I was 12 playing like 18s. And at first it wasn't an easy transition. Like I was getting my butt kicked, but then by 12, 13, like I was winning tournaments. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, like I'm better than the average 12-year-old.
You're playing like full grown women when you're 11 years old. Like that's a big jump. It sounds like, I asked the question a lot, like who are your idols and stuff, but it sounds like it was mostly in-house, like your sister, your mom, like they were the tennis influences that you looked up to. Yeah, well, my game idol is Martina Navratilova. Like I've always that's a very like profound answer for someone your age. Yeah, because you weren't around when she played. So that's studying a lot. Yeah, I definitely studied her game. Like the first thing that I gravitated towards with her was like she wore glasses on the court and I wore glasses, and I'm like, oh, she's lefty, I'm lefty. And then as I started to kind of watch, I just loved the way that she carried herself on court, because it kind of reminded me of myself. Like she was a great competitor, but she was like edgy, and she wasn't afraid to show her emotions, and you could kind of tell how she was feeling like while she was playing. She kind of let the spectators in to what was kind of going on the court. And I just really loved that. And I loved her game. Like she chipped and charged. She loved coming to the net, serve and volley, was very aggressive. And that kind of spoke to everything inside of me. But definitely like my sister, obviously growing up playing with her. And then I'm like Donald Young Jr. He's been like, his mom and dad were my first coaches. And so they taught me how to play. So I've always been around Donald. And I was around him when he was number 1 junior and won junior Wimbledon, won junior Australia, and was number 1. So being able to be that close to someone who was having that success, like, was really enlightening for me. So I was very lucky to have that. Yeah, and Donald Young Sr. has been your coach for so many years. Yeah. And through the formative process as well, I would imagine that he's been, important to your game as well. He shaped everything. Like the way that I play is because of him. It's been a remarkable journey to watch. Like a lot of kids, you had to make that commitment, or maybe you were kind of nudged in the direction of that commitment, but you left home at a young age. Mm-hmm. You were focused on getting to where you wanted to go tennis-wise. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids don't make that decision or won't make it. Yeah. What was different for you, and why were you willing to just focus everything on tennis at such a young age? Well, I want to let everyone know, like, I made the decision and then I backed out. so you got cold feet, but then you backed in. I actually got accepted into the program when I was 13, and it was 3 days before I was supposed to leave. And Boca Raton. Yeah, down to Boca to go train at USTA. And I was just like, oh, I'm not ready yet. So I had all my stuff packed, everything was ready, and I was like, we're leaving Saturday. It was Wednesday. I was like, I'm not ready. So I ended up not going, and then did my 8th grade year. And then after 8th grade, I was like, okay, I'm ready now. I reapplied, I got accepted, and that was great. So it wasn't like initial, like, I'm so disciplined. No, like I had to give myself time. So that's 13 years old. Within 3 years, you're the number 1 junior in the world. Yeah. Right? Like we're talking 15. Yeah. 2 years. That sounds super fast from the outside. Mm-hmm. In the moment, was it like, I'm there, I'm competing, I'm number 1, or was it a lot slower than it looks? Oh my God. It was such a grind. Like the transition itself wasn't easy, because I was going from a lot of things, being at home, being with your parents, being with your family, to being alone, going to public school, to then having to do online school and teach myself. So I had a lot of like transitional things and wasn't around my friends. I was used to being like social and didn't really have that, and everything was geared towards tennis. So that was a transition, but I was doing really well in doubles, and like I was winning everything in doubles, but I wasn't doing well in my singles. And so for basically 2 years, like from when I went down there from 2010 to basically the end of 2011, so like basically almost 2 years, like I struggled, and I wanted to quit playing singles. Like I was like, I'm done. Yeah. Like
this sucks. I suck at this. Like, I'm not winning any matches. All of my peers around me were doing really well. I was being selected for like the US teams and stuff, but only for doubles. And I felt like less than, you know what I mean?
Well,
So
like, what kept you in it? I mean, because obviously you had that moment where it's fight or flight.
Yeah.
What kept you in the game?
Well, I had a conversation with Noah Rubin. Like, I remember we were down in Florida and I was just like, Noah, like, I just kind of laid it all on the table. I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm just over it. And, you know, I think I'm just going to only focus on doubles. And he was just like, Taylor, no, like, you're way too good for that. Like, just stick it out. And he was doing really well in the juniors and the singles and stuff. And we were on tons of like, you know, US teams and stuff. So I would see him all the time. And in that moment, when I kind of verbalized what I was feeling internally, then everything changed. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I won Tulsa, which was like a grade, whatever, ITF. And then got myself into Australia, did okay in the warm-up tournament, then won Junior Australia. And then from then, like, everything changed. So it was a matter of like 4 months from that point where everything turned around and everything happened so fast.
Well, it's that moment, right? You look back on it and it was just one conversation, one discussion, just adjustment, and the tennis came together. So it was really like a grand slam was what was the moment. Like, you had no indication going into it that would be it.
No, I mean, when I played in Tulsa, like, I felt different on the court. I just felt a little bit more free, more relaxed. And like, I ran through everyone in that tournament, like 1-1, 0-1. Wow. Like, it was like, so it was different than what I was going through in other tournaments where I was losing first, second round. Yeah. So, yeah, it was definitely like, I didn't go to Australia with the confidence of thinking I'm going to win this tournament. But as I started playing matches and I got tested in the early rounds, that kind of gave me the confidence to keep going. And honestly, like, I just scrapped through the matches and ended up winning.
Taylor Townsend here on Tennis Channel Inside In. The 2012 junior run was amazing. We don't have to dwell on a lot of the negative stuff. I just wanted to ask you the question. Do you feel in your mind, like looking back a decade or so, that your career was a little sidetracked and that you lost, you know, some formative, years because of the events that happened, and you feel like maybe it stalled out a little bit?
Yeah, I do. Like, I talked about it sometimes where I was like, oh, I wish, like, what if I had the setup that Coco had, you know, where she had her parents and she had like everybody in the development around her was so strong from the time that she was 13, and everybody was moving in the direction of like, we want you to go here. And so I was like, what if when I was 15 and I had confidence and I was doing well, like, I had these things around me to be able to help continue me on this path? Like, where could I have been, right? So I've definitely thought about that, but I wouldn't change my journey for anything, because it wouldn't have prepared me for all the things that I've gone through, or it wouldn't have allowed me to be as strong as I am today. You
have that quote that I forget where it was, but I pulled it up. You know, tennis means the world to me. It's helped me through a lot of tough situations, good and bad times. And if you think about what you just said, like, that experience, life experience, makes you tougher. Yeah. And still at your age, mid-20s, there's a lot of tennis experiences and bad drama that players haven't recovered from. Right. So to be able to sit here and have had success after that we'll get to, but it got you through some of the dark times, and surviving it is the key to just keeping going and looking forward. Yeah. I mean, I think the whole mantra of my brand and me and my career is just like perseverance. Like, when you're in it, you don't realize what's going on. You just try to get through it, and you don't really, until you sit back or you're years later and it's like, dang, like, I really, like, I should have quit a long time ago, but you don't realize it until you're further along. It's just like, wow. So yeah, I mean, just being able to get through everything. And I mean, I'm going to have my challenges. Like, I'm in the midst of a challenge right now, like trying to come back and get back in shape, and from pregnancy, from having a C-section, from like your abdomen being totally obliterated, you know, like just certain things where even dealing with myself, of being able to not compare where I was to where I am now, and just like accepting, okay, this is where you are. It's not where you're going to be, but this is where you are right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's constant challenges, honestly, but it's just how you continue to put one foot in front of the other. If there's a silver lining from what went down, it's you got to be coached then by Zina Garrison. It was like shortly after that, and that's a pioneer in so many ways, but what was it like to be able to learn from her on the court and just kind of pick her brain and use her as a resource for your career?
Yeah, it was nice to be able to kind of transition from being at USTA in kind of a strange environment to going somewhere where it was nobody who was affiliated with USTA. And Zena had her fair share of, tension with US. So she totally understood where I was coming from and how I felt and how that organization could potentially make you feel at times, So especially as a Black woman, she was able to connect with me in different ways that maybe other people couldn't have. So it was great. And like, it kind of gave me a sense of freedom. Like, okay, I can talk, I can verbalize and let you know how I'm feeling. And I don't really have to keep everything inside, or I'm not competing with anybody else for a spot. Like, I know that you're coaching me and you're only here for me. I'm not having to like split you, or if my ranking's not as high, then you're going to have to go with this person. So it was a lot of different elements that I didn't really have to deal with once I left.
That's a bigger picture discussion, I think, about like youth sports, like these academies and developments that could be individual or team sports. But if there's too many good kids there, you wonder, are these kids getting proper training and attention? So something to think about as well. 2014 Roland Garros. That's your first like main draw, right? Like you never played in a main draw.
Yes.
And it was a pretty good debut.
Right.
You beat Vanya King in the first round, and then you take out the local hero in Cornet in the second round. Were you just essentially playing with house money? Did you feel like I'm here, I'm going to play my best, like no expectations? Or did you go with, a goal of winning a few matches in mind?
Well, I mean, like, I was very nervous, but the great part about it was I had won the wild card. That was the first year that they implemented the hard true, where however you have the combined ranking or the combined points of 3 events, and however you do there, then you earn a wild card. So I didn't feel like I was there by accident, which made me feel really good and gave me a lot of confidence going into it. I had played 3 weeks in a row, won 2 tournaments, so I was confident in my game. So not necessarily, oh yeah, I'm gonna go whoop everybody, like I didn't feel like
didn't
that.
Walk into the locker room and say that. That probably would be a good idea.
Yeah, like it wasn't that, but I just kind of stayed within. I felt like I was playing really good tennis, and it could translate to the other side.
What was it like when you saw Andy Murray tweet about you? Because I know you saw that.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was like, no way. Because in my mind, I'm like, they don't know me. Like, I'm not playing a lot of WTAs. Like, I'm sure these players don't really know who I am. So it was cool for him to be able to like not only shout me out, but to recognize like my game and kind of the difference that I bring to the sport. Like, that was really cool.
We're very spoiled, like with the big four, just how they are as people too. Like that's why I keep saying like it's not normal for people that good to be that nice and humble.
Right. It's a unique thing because all of them have their own different personalities, like in their own ways that they verbalize things, which I think is really cool. So, I mean, it was nice, honestly.
When you were a professional, I mean, you turned pro, and that's your first Grand Slam. But you've referred to the first couple of years as kind of being like lost at sea, and just the grind of being a professional. It's hard to make that transition. What were some of the highs and lows like, just being on the tour, playing singles and doubles every week as a pro now?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, like you said, it was kind of the lost at sea thing where I turned pro in 2013, and just my first year pro was just like, I wish I could just throw it in the garbage. Like it sucked. So it definitely wasn't my, I guess, evolution to where I am now, or my ranking. Like, definitely I wasn't expecting it. But I had some good, things happen along the way. But it's a grind, and I'm fortunate enough to have been higher in the top 100, and then literally the next week my ranking dropped to out of the 400s. So like it literally was 94 one day, 400 something the next day. So then having to deal with that adjustment of going from playing in main draws of Grand Slams and maybe qualies of WTA events to now I'm playing qualies of challengers and futures. So I've been fortunate enough, and I'm saying fortunate because for me, I can understand the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to understand what that grind is like, from being there, dropping, and having to work yourself back up.
Is playing doubles and something that you've gotten good at, and you won the title in Auckland and played with different partners. Did that come from just wanting to take a positive? Did you always like doubles, or was that, you were always?
Yeah, I've always loved doubles. I've always loved, because I love team stuff. I just never played.
Tennis
I just never played team sports, but I was like, I think I was made for them, honestly.
You're playing tennis. Might not have been perfect for that personality, but no, as a doubles player, as we talked about different partners, I think Asia Muhammad, you settled on, is that like your full time, like that's your partner?
Yeah, I mean, we talk and we're really good friends. So, I mean, we'll say, okay, we're going to commit to playing these tournaments, kind of like how you asked about picking a doubles partner. So say, okay, I'm going to play in this, and this, or we're going to play in this, or this is my single schedule. Like, what's your schedule? Like, you kind of have to coincide with each other and figure out what makes sense. But both Asia and I play singles. So doubles isn't our priority when we're saying, okay, we're going to play these tournaments. Like, it's always singles and then doubles comes after. But I mean, we've created a relationship over the years where we can just be transparent. But it's been a handful of times where we play together one week and then we don't play together the next week because we weren't able to get in. That's what happened in Auckland. Like, I didn't play with Asia in Australia after we won in Auckland because we weren't going to get in. Wow. So it just kind of happens that way.
It's pretty crazy that your doubles title, you beat Serena and Wozniacki right before she retired.
Right.
Like this dream team.
Yeah.
And you guys were the spoilers that just ruined that moment. But no, it was had to be a pretty surreal thing to not only get your first WTA title, but to beat the greatest of all time to do it.
Yeah. I mean, me and Asia have been so close, like 5 times, and just never were able to get over the hump. So it was really cool for us to be able to like wrap it all up and be like, yes, we finally did it. And that's what we said. Like we were like, finally, like we've been so close. So, but we played great in that match and we were just super focused and trying not to look on the other side of the net. We're just like, no.
You guys complement each other pretty well also with your serve and volley game and her ground stroke ability. And then you were right there in the U.S. Open, like that semifinal match that could have gone either way. Probably still stings, so sorry to bring that up.
It still triggers me. Like, I can't even think of like a shank return on the top of the net on the back side of the line. Like, it's just,
More with Taylor Townsend here on Tennis Channel Inside In. 2019 U.S. Open, it had been 5 years since you've even, the third round of your debut was as far as you'd gotten in a Grand Slam. Then suddenly the breakthrough happens. And not only does it happen, but it happens beating Simona Halep to get there, which everybody is obviously familiar with.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what happened in that match is kind of like a microcosm of your career, right?
Yeah.
You're down a set, you take the lead, you have a chance to win, you have match points.
Yeah.
Suddenly you lose that and you're into a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Like that match was as much of a roller coaster as probably you've experienced.
Yeah, I can still like feel the tension in my body. No, but that match was something that kind of, even looking back of having not played in almost a year. I haven't played since the U.S. Open last year, but just thinking about that match and what I was able to overcome, it wasn't even about the tennis. Like, it was just about being able to internally fight my demons and being able to get over that hump of like being scared, being nervous, playing, not to lose. Like, I literally was just like, this. Like,
thank you for editing yourself.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to do that after. But no, the serious thing is, how do you overcome blowing your opportunity earlier in that third set? Like, how do you lock in? Suddenly you're 6-5, you have to hold serve and get to a tiebreaker. Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, once I committed to my strategy, I knew that it was working. I saw that she was frustrated and it was getting on her nerves. I was just like, I'm just going to keep going. And I honestly told myself, like, don't think about the score. Just play point to point to point. And that's what I was the most proud of, because I was able to focus myself and just, even if I lost a point, like, screw it. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. And just, I stayed very like driven on the next point, the next point, the next point. I didn't get ahead of myself and I didn't try to look behind, because if I did, she's too good. Like, she would have got me. I watched the highlights of that match today before we started this, and just the tension, the atmosphere, you had the crowd going, the announcer with the deep voices doing it. The other thing I noticed too, I mean, it's kind of sad to say, but Kobe was there. Yeah.
That was another thing that stood out there. I mean, it was a high profile crowd cheering for you.
Yeah.
In the moment, I mean, I know you wanted to win and you did win, but it just had to feel amazing to have that moment to compete at that level.
Yeah, it was awesome. And like, when in it, I was just like, oh, I love this so much. It was just so much fun for me. And as it got more tight, that's what I said. It was just great for me because I was able to battle so many different things that were going on internally, as well as like, it's great to have the crowd. Like there's nothing like a New York crowd. So the fact that they were for me was great and it was helping me too. But I didn't know Kobe was there until after the match was over. But it was amazing. Like I can still feel the energy. Like when I watch the highlights on YouTube, I can still feel what that feeling was like when I played.
It's almost like that's what players are chasing more than almost the wins themselves. That feeling of competing and winning in front of that crowd. Well, you know, you've also been someone that's very straightforward with God has a plan for everything and becoming a mother. Congrats again on that.
Thank you.
And, you know, that experience has been, you know, had to be very changing and challenging at times.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that opportunity has brought on just a new perspective in not just tennis, but life itself too?
Absolutely. Like it's very easy because you get caught up in the world of you travel new place every week, living out of a suitcase. Like it's easy to get caught up in feeling as though like tennis is everything. You know, this is all that we do. This is our life. This is how we make our living. Like this is everything. And how you do dictate sometimes how you feel, your moods. Like, you know, if you're not feeling well, you're just like, oh, this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
But definitely being away from the game unintentionally, because this was an accident. Yeah.
You said it. It's your words.
Yes, I own that.
Okay.
Aiden, if you listen to this, I'm sorry, but it's true.
A happy accident.
Yes,
Let's call it that. Bob Ross style, yeah.
But just forcibly being away from the game since basically September of US Open last year. I've never watched this much tennis in my entire career. Like it's just given me such a appreciation for the game and also a love again for it that it's like I really truly miss playing and being out on the court and competing and just those feelings. So it's definitely given me a different perspective, and having a child has given me the motivation that I didn't have when I was playing before he came, because it's like now I have a why. Like I have a reason to go out here, and like every time that I'm away from home, even being here, like every time I'm away from home, it's giving me that drive to do the best that I can because I'm taking time away from being away from my son, you know? So
you're playing for something.
Yeah. So it gives me a why, and it gives me a reason, a real reason for everything. And it sticks.
And I also just thought, like, when I've been associated with Tennis Channel for like 6 years, there wasn't really many moms on tour, if any, back then. You had Kim Clijsters take a break, come back, but now it's Serena, Azarenka, Perankova, yourself, a couple others as well. Yeah. There's a place for it now. The game is getting older, but I think women are seeing that they could have a child. They don't have to just retire and have kids.
Yeah, I think that's been the mantra for like women's sports in general. Like even back in with the WNBA and like people who have kids, just like, okay, it's over. And so I like that the game is changing in that way because it opens up the opportunity for you to say, hey, like, no, I'm not done. I have more. Like, and that's how I feel. Like, I'm only 25. So it seems as though like I've been on the tour for a decade, which sounds ridiculous. Like it's crazy to even think about that. But it's like I have so much more to give. And like you look at players, Pegula, Madison Keys, Sloane, who peaked in their mid to late 20s and are playing their best tennis. So yeah, I'm fortunate, honestly, and I can't wait to get back out there.
And Georgie just won the Rogers Cup at 29,
her
biggest tournament ever. And I do think your style of play could suit you as you get older too, with more experience. And no, I think it's great. And I think, you know, now you said watching all this tennis prepares you for working in TV as well, because now that's what we're doing here. And is it harder than you thought to be coming into a studio show and having to prepare? And if you could just take us through like what a day in the life of one of these shifts is for you. Yeah,
I mean, so my day since being here, because my trainer is here, so I was like continuing with my fitness. So I do a session at 7 a.m. Then I do a session, I have breakfast. I do a session at 11. Then I got to do my hair. And then I come in and get my makeup and stuff done. But yeah, it's definitely like, I wouldn't say harder because I've always been very comfortable with like public speaking and interviews and that kind of stuff. So this part for me is easier because it's like I'm having a conversation, like I'm talking to you. So that part for me is easy, but it's just like, the waiting and then you having to kind of gather your thoughts and know what you want to say or kind of what points you want to bring out, and trying to make sure that you stay on topic of like analyzing certain things. So that part can be difficult because TV is like everything. You only have a certain amount of time, so you better get what you need to say when you got to say it. So in that aspect it can be tough, but I've been having a great time.
Maybe there's a future in this. Well done.
I've been told that for a long time. I'm glad I was able to experience it. So but yeah, my focus is definitely getting back out there and swinging a racket.
Is there any like timeline on that? Like when you think you're going to be back to playing tennis, or just playing it by ear? Yeah,
I said between March and May of next year. Actually next week when I go back home, I'm starting like organized practices and getting back out to hitting balls and just getting used to, hitting again, since I haven't done it in a long time. I mean, I hit every once in a while, but nothing consistent. So I'm excited for that. Just another step, getting back. But I said March and May. I wanted to give myself time, like 12 to 14 months. I didn't want to rush. I wanted to enjoy being a mother, kind of get my claws into everything of like, a routine and figuring out how the baby is and all of that stuff. Like I wanted to be able to enjoy that and like be able to be 100% before having to go back out and kind of split my time.
Well, I mean, I think it's smart to just come back and be fully healthy and take your time. No need to rush. A lot of tennis in front of you. Taylor, this was awesome. Thanks for coming and chatting with us on the podcast. And one last thing. Yeah. Because I've heard the person filming right now, Charlene, said you love to dance and you love music.
I do.
Those two big interests for you?
I do. I love music. I mean, I like to dance. I think I can dance, but when I look at it on camera, it looks terrible. So I'm just going to have that in my brain, but I'll bust a move. I did some beatboxing in the thing. So
anytime, like pre-match, did it calm you down? Like when you have nerves, like get a little dancing?
Oh my God. So in juniors, I used to have these big bright beats. You remember the big beats had like these?
You're the colored ones.
I had the orange ones.
Oh, orange.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had orange, and my doubles partner Gabby had the purple one. So you remember you could switch out the things. So I would have a purple thing on one side. She had the orange one, and I literally would like be just jamming, like jumping up and down, like just. I used to dance like crazy because I think that was like my nervous energy and I was getting it out. So now I'm like more, like I'm just trying to be calm.
We got triple threat now. We got tennis player, TV personality, professional dancer maybe.
No. In my mind.
In your
like
mind.
On my
Best dancer of all time in your mind.
Oh. No, don't do that to me. But on my Instagram feed, literally that's all is like, I just want to be able to dance, but I can't, but I want to. Like I just look at professional like choreographers and stuff. I'm just, this is so cool. Like you guys look so cool. Oh.
Well, we're going to follow that as well. Taylor Townsend, thank you again for joining Tennis Channel Insight, and best of luck with everything. We're looking forward to seeing you back on the court one day soon. Thanks for joining the show.
No, thank you. This was fun.